I gotta hydrate for this video. Hello everyone, my name is Ebony and welcome back to my channel.
Think I know you better to forget her. Certain people made for running. Think I need you more than let you know I'm bored and tell me this means more than nothing.
So today I'm doing a video that scares me. Basically, I'm going to be reacting to the 1-star, possibly 2-star ratings of my absolute favorite book, Wintergirls. Yes, I have 2 copies because I love it so much. This is the US cover and this is the UK cover. I like this one better because it's prettier, but I have both. I got this idea from Rebecca from Rebecca Books because she did a video a couple days ago reacting to 1-star reviews of Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. And like, she doesn't like that book, so she kind of agrees with the 1 stars, and I thought it would be interesting to do this with my favorite book. I don't know, maybe people have done this in the past and I'm not creative at all, but like, I just thought it would be fun to do. So I will link Rebecca's video down below if you want to check it out. Like I said, this is my favorite book of all time. It has been for several years, and I think that this book is kind of what like kickstarted my weird fetish thing with eating disorders. Yes, if you're new here, I enjoy reading books and watching movies about eating disorders, be that fiction, non-fiction, memoirs, etc. Literally just anything if it involves an eating disorder, I'm super interested in. I think that this book does eating disorder representation and even mental health representation so well. And one other thing I love about this book is the writing style of it. Laurie Halse Anderson does an amazing job with the writing style of this book. First of all, the chapter numbers are written as if it were like a weight on a scale, which is genius. There's a lot of times where it'll like cross out words instead of like, she'll think something but then she'll be like, no, it's actually this way, you know? And to me, it really represents that whole like way of thinking where you're like, think something and then you're like, no, I shouldn't be thinking that, I should be thinking this. Like, I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do that. And she also puts in like a calorie count after every thing of food. I guess I should give you a little backstory about what this book is about. Basically, it's about the main character, Leah, who has anorexia, and her best friend, or ex-best friend, Cassie, has bulimia. And the book opens after they've had sort of a friend breakup and they've drifted apart from each other after a couple of months. And the book opens with Leah finding out that Cassie has died. Not only is she dealing with the struggle for eating disorder and dealing with like a friend breakup, she now has to deal with the grief of her friend dying. But like the writing style of this book, aside from like the physical things you can see on the page, it's also written very like magically, if that makes sense. It is a contemporary, but it almost borders on magical realism just in the way that it's written. She's sort of haunted by Cassie's ghost. It's more of her like feeling guilty about it. Like, it manifests as if she's seeing Cassie's ghost. And so there's definitely some scenes in here that feel more like magical realism, and like the writing style just in general makes it feel that way too. And I just think it is so stunningly done. It's beautiful. I love it so much. And I'm very scared to read the 1-star ratings of this book. I think that most of them are probably going to be some form of talking about the mental health representation. That's just my guess, because I think that that's a topic that's hard to do right, and like, I think that people have different opinions on how it should be done, and I feel like some other people might say that it's very triggering, and it is triggering, but like, I think it's triggering for the right reasons. Let's just jump in. I'm really scared. The very first review on like the community reviews on Goodreads is a 1-star, so we're gonna read what it says. I will let you know that, oh yeah, this is a long review. If it's a long review, I'll just like summarize what they say or like touch on specific points that I would like to react to. Okay, so getting into the first review. This person says that they didn't care about the writing style and the crossed out words felt unnecessary, that slowed down the pace of the book. Of course, I said I disagree with that, but she's entitled to her opinion. The chapter headings were distracting and took her several chapters to realize what the numbers meant. Oh my gosh, she's just touching on literally everything I said I liked. She didn't make a connection with the main character, which is fair. That's a fair point. She said she seems like a spoiled rich brat who was not even kind enough to pick up the phone to speak to the parents of the dead best friend even when the girl's mother is begging for her. That is a fair assessment. But again, I think that it has to do with the fact that she has mental health issues and she doesn't think clearly for the most part because she has lots of brain fog. Okay, I'm gonna stop trying to like justify what the book is doing and just like let them talk, because like this is really hard. Basically, she's saying that she just didn't care whether or not Leah got better, which, like, if a character was written well, that is something you would normally care about. She's also saying that Leah doesn't take any responsibility for her eating disorder and mostly just blames it on her parents. And she said that there are many other books that talk about anorexia better, and that this is a manual on how to be anorexic, and to don't bother reading it. Oh, that hurts me so much to hear. So that one wasn't too bad. She made some valid points about just not connecting with the character, which, of course, every reader's experience is different when it comes to connecting with characters. So, like, that's very valid. Like, I can't understand why she didn't like the way that it was written, but, like, it's okay. She's entitled to her opinion. It's fine. Okay, this person said... So the first paragraph of this specific Goodreads review, I'm assuming is a review or like a blurb from a different author, but it says Laurie Halse Anderson sinks her teeth into crossed out, writes about eating disorders in this one, and like basically it's just like sort of mocking how the book is written with like the crossed out words and, you know, like writing other things. Taking out the crossed out words, it says Laurie Halse Anderson writes about eating disorders in this one. She uses lots of clever formatting, including numbers, tiny text, etc. Their main critique of this book is that it could have been better if the author had spent less time using clever formattings and spent more time creating solid characters. I disagree, but yep, you can have your opinion. It's fine. I'm fine. There are quite a few, like, 3, 4, 5-star ratings for this book, which makes me feel better. So here's a 2-star. So for this person, Laurie Halse Anderson is on, like, their list of favorite authors. So that's why they felt it was important to leave a review. This person is claiming that the main character is neither likable or hateable. There's a very explicit way that the writer of the review would like to go into the story and kill Leah with her bare hands and cremate her and like destroy the ashes. It's a little much. This person's review is 2 stars, very short, and it just says that they felt that this book would be frustrating and disturbing for those who don't know anything about eating disorders, and it would be triggering for those who do have experience with eating disorders. Yes, I can see it definitely would be triggering if that is something that, like, you're not comfortable reading. Like, yeah, don't read a book that you will be triggered by, like. But I still think if you don't have that trigger, like, it still would be an important thing to read just to see that mental health representation, put yourself in someone else's shoes sort of thing. So in this review, they're saying that Leah doesn't really take responsibility for what she should have done before Cassie died. So basically the night that Cassie was dying, she called Leah 33 times, and Leah didn't pick up because, you know, they like went through a friend breakup, they were not on speaking terms. So then, you know, when Leah finds out that Cassie died, she is like beating herself up the whole time for not picking up when Cassie kept calling her. And at the very end, this is a slight spoiler, I suppose, this person says that instead of Leah taking responsibility for not being a good friend in that time, Cassie actually apologizes to Leah for not calling sooner, which, like, isn't very good in terms of, like, having a character who can realize her mistakes, which, that's fair. This person is saying that the story gets more and more bizarre with every page, that things are happening that don't make sense, which I think is, like, what I was talking about with it sort of feeling like magical realism, in the way that it sort of feels like a fantasy at times where, like, things are happening that, like, would not happen. But that's how Leah, like, sees them because of her, like, brain fog, I guess. That one's not in English. Oh, neither is that one. Oh, this one hurts me deeply. They said, long story short, the only people I know who have hailed this book as an accurate portrayal of eating disorders were people who have never had one. They said that the portrayal is overdramatic romanticism of a serious mental illness, but if you have had an eating disorder, it's more likely to infuriate you. And they said that if you do not have a mental illness, don't write about it. It's not giving an outsiders a piece of our world. It's distorting it based on you reading of the DSM-V and the scouring of blogs of whose artists list 5 self-diagnosed disorders with conflicting criteria. Do not give Wintergirls the time of day. I'm in so much pain. Okay, I think that this is a good representation of eating disorders. I have done a lot of research about eating disorders, and I do know people who have had an eating disorder, and they haven't read this book because I wouldn't want to trigger them in any way. But, like, I think, based on the research I've done, the other media that I've read and seen, and the people that I know's experience, I think that this is an accurate representation. Of course, I've never had one, so, like, that could be completely wrong. The other thing is, I know that Laurie Halse Anderson did a lot of research before writing this book, because, like, I read, like, there's, like, an author's note in the back where she talks about it, so, like, this review hurts me so much. I'm just gonna move on. Like, I just disagree. I disagree. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel like this is the equivalent of, like, reading only the hate comments, like, on videos and stuff. I feel like I'm really putting emphasis on the bad ones, and I'm scrolling past so many, like, good reviews that, like, I don't know. It's not, like, an accurate representation of what all people think, but it's happening. Okay, I think I can only handle, like, one more because my heart hurts. It hurts. Oh, this is kind of long, but I'm gonna read it. Oh, no! They started the review with, "Hello, I hated this." I can't. It made them uncomfortable. Okay, that's fair. They didn't like the writing of the book. It was fractured and filled with metaphors, and it sucked and made no sense half of the time. I don't. Of course, I talked about how much I love, like, the syntax of this book, but, like, the writing itself is so good. Like, I'm just gonna read you an excerpt. She tells me, the words dribbling out with cranberry muffin crumbs, commas dunked in her coffee. Like, I love that. Like, And then there's a part where it says, I pull out the top rack of the dishwasher. The glasses vibrate with little screams when I touch them. If I pick them up, they'll shatter. I reach for the steak knife hiding in the nest of spoons. The blade handle is warm. As I pull it free, the blade slices the air, dividing the kitchen into slivers. Those sentences are so magical, so beautiful. I freaking love them. Very poetic. And it hurts me very deeply that they said that the writing was, what did they say? Fractured, sucked, and made no sense. I can't. Oh my gosh. I will agree with this point that they made. They said that the entire book was very anti-therapy. I definitely agree. This book sort of perpetuates that, like, stereotype within YA books that going to a therapist is bad. And that is a thing that this book does. And it is one of the few things that does bother me about this book, is that it's so, like, anti-therapy. They also just wishes that the book was more about recovery. Suddenly the last 5 pages she like does recover, and it skims through the actual recovery. I don't think that this book, I mean, like, yes, like, if it was more about her recovery, it would be, like, more optimistic in that way, but I don't think that that's the intention of this book. Like, I think this book is seriously meant to show what it's like to be deep in, like, the grasp of an eating disorder with, like, no light at the end of the tunnel. It does end with, like, her getting better, because, like, it'd be really, really depressing if it didn't end like that. But, like, I don't think that this book is intended to feel like a recovery book. It's more intended to be in the midst of it all, because I feel like recovery, like, the recovery story, you see a lot more than just the story of being in the middle of it. Oh my gosh. No, I can't. I can't. Oh my. They did not just say that. They said, this book does what 13 Reasons Why did for suicide. Glorify the F out of it. They did not just compare Wintergirls to 13 Reasons Why. Oh my gosh, like, I don't even have words to counter that. Like, I can't, I don't even, how? They're not even on the same level. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. I want you to know that I've been sitting here for about 5 minutes, just lost for words, because I don't even know where to start. I don't even know, like, what to, oh my goodness. 13 Reasons Why. I'm speaking solely for the show here because it's been so long since I've read the book that I can't speak of it, like, well, but 13 Reasons Why, the show, is some of the worst representation I've ever seen, ever experienced. Like they said, it does glorify suicide heavily. But to compare that to this book, this raw, open, real experience of someone who is dealing with an eating disorder. Okay, I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't read that last one because I'm so triggered right now. And I'm gonna close the video here because, like, I literally can't. Hopefully you liked this video, the drama that was in it, because I just went through some very serious emotional pain for the sake of this video, so I hope it was at least entertaining. Also, I didn't think about this before, but I apologize if you don't like this book and I'm over here, like, defending it this whole time. If you don't like this book, please don't leave me your negative reviews in the comments. I can't handle any more of it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you're subscribed down below so you don't miss any future bookish content from me. And if you want to follow me on social media, all my links are in the description box down below as always. This was a wild time. I don't know if I will ever recover from it. Every time I read this book now, these words are going to haunt me. So I hope you found this fun. Okay, bye.
All you see is black.